Hi, I'm Paul Goodman-Simpson from ERDS Solutions and Services, and welcome to this video checking Plant 3D models with the Revit Up Isolator plugin. Back in the day when piping design was a manual drafting process, our GAs and ISOs would be gone over by a design checker. Once their comments and corrections had been backdrafted and remarked up in yellow pencil, the drawing could be issued for the next revision. These days, it's a different process, because the drawings are harvested from our 3D design models. Unlike in the days of manual production, where a certain amount of draftsman's license was acceptable, it's essential that the underlying model attributes are correct. Otherwise, any mistakes and omissions will filter through to the automated ISOs and wreak havoc with our bills of material. And because our models can be used via other software applications later on to drive various analytic and operations processes, it's essential that the basic information is validated as far as possible. Our new Revit Up Isolator plugin is designed to help with this by allowing you to visually check the attributes in your Plant 3D models and identify any obvious errors or omissions. Here's how it works. Once installed, the Isolator appears on the Revit Up tab on the Plant 3D ribbon and gives you a simple user interface that lets you visually inspect the model by line number, service, pipe spec and pipe size. When you select each type, you get a list of all relevant items in the model for that category. You can check them individually or in groups, and it also identifies objects that don't have any attributes assigned to them, as you see here. You can control how the model is displayed whilst you undertake your visual checks. Here I'm setting the selected piping to be coloured yellow and the unselected piping to be coloured blue. You can also set the visibility of the non-selected piping and other Plant 3D objects to be transparent or hidden altogether. With your preferences set, you are ready to go by clicking the Apply button. Let's run some quick checks on this pipe rack model, which at first glance looks to be spatially okay. Starting with the line numbers, I'm selecting the empty fields like so. When I apply the isolation, you can see that most of the pipes are shown in yellow, denoting that they don't have a line number assigned to them. It's a similar situation with the services. We can see that almost none of the pipes shown here have a service attribute. In this example, for line number 1012, the isolator is showing us that the vertical pipe between these two elbows does not have a line number attribute. And this flange, which is clearly part of line number 1051, is also missing its line number. Small omissions such as this can have considerable knock-on effects. In this case, Plant 3D created 3 separate ISOs for the bypass line when only one was needed, and none of them had the flange included on the bill of materials. We can see here that line number 1071 has been applied to 2 separate runs, which is obviously not correct. If we refer back to the P&ID, we can see that the discharge line from pump P1006 has line number 1071, and that the line into the exchanger should in fact be 1072. The isolator can help us make corrections in congested areas like this, where it's going to be difficult to select the objects on the line. We can first set everything to be hidden to isolate the line, and then correct the error for each fitting and pipe on the run like so. Use the isolator to check the services in the model. To start with, it's worth finding out if any of the piping doesn't have the service attribute applied by selecting the blank fields and running a check. Anything highlighted in yellow has an undefined service. We use a modeless dialog so you can move around the model to see the extent of any issues there might be. After that, it's worth inspecting each service in turn to try and spot any issues and cross-reference back to the P&ID. Here we can see that the suction lines going into these pumps are part of the process condensate system, but there's a different system on the discharge. And likewise on these pumps we got a general process service on the inlet and something else on the outlet. And here the bypass line has a different service to the main line, which is on the CWS system. To make the correction, we can isolate the system so we can easily update all objects on the line in one go, and then run a quick check to make sure everything is on the correct service, like this. It's worth scanning each line on every system for consistency. As you see here, this flange seems to have an incorrect or missing service attribute. And this vertical pipe on the flashing fluid service doesn't have a correct attribute either. Sometimes errors can creep in and mess with our pipe sizes, and they can be difficult to spot. So you can use the isolator to run through the model by pipe size and cast your eye for anything that looks out of place. Here, for example, I'm looking at all 10-inch pipes, and there seems to be something at odds by this vessel. It looks as though a small bore 1-inch pipe has attributes showing 10 inches. To correct the issue, you can click on the line and use the selected line number icon to identify it in the line number list. Then you can isolate it with everything else hidden and make the changes from 10 inches to 1 inch. By highlighting each line in turn and giving them a visual check, you can sometimes notice errors that have been previously missed. Here, for example, we can see this 10-inch pipe isn't connecting properly to the flange. So there you have an overview of our isolator plugin, which can be downloaded from our Revit Up website. If you'd like to find out more about our plugins for Plant 3D, Revit and Navisworks, please visit our website 3dasset.net or contact us by email. And in the meantime, thanks for watching and see you next time.